So I don't think Katy Perry understands at this point that the more attempts that you make toward going into damage control mode over the spaceflight backlash and everything that did happen with Blue Origin, you're only making it worse for yourself. You're only creating more backlash. You are elongating the pushback coming from the general public, and that doesn't really seem to be, ringing a bell with Katy Perry that that's exactly what's contributing to more people calling her out time and time again. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. So we all know that Katy Perry's spaceflight, and that's whether or not you really want to consider it a spaceflight, since they really only reached the edge of space, and they were only, floating for like a minute or a minute and a half. It was really very insignificant when you really think about it. But when you look at Katy Perry and how she compared herself to astronauts multiple times, for multiple days, it only made matters even more ridiculous. But what's interesting here has a lot more to do with how already Katy Perry is taking legal steps, taking legal actions towards specific companies and specific figures out there, not just in the film industry, but also when it comes to, well, let's discuss about that in just a second. Now, what's interesting about this is the fact that Katy Perry is already pointing the finger at multiple individuals, multiple entities, as to why her ticket sales are just not performing at her Lifetime's tour, why her ticket sales are just underperforming, generally speaking, in specific US markets, and it's only getting worse. Now, this is what's really contributing to a lot of this, is the fact that Katy Perry keeps doubling down on damage control. She's actually putting herself in the negative spotlight, more so than she needs to be, so a lot of this, she has nobody to blame but herself. But what's interesting about all of this, again, has a lot to do with Wendy's. Now, with the Katy Perry backlash only growing more times, of course, the more times that she attempts to double down on damage control, one significant development going on now involves how Katy Perry already is in the process of gathering a legal team in the midst of the Blue Origin pushback from the general public. Now, this entire issue is already beginning to go out of control, where Perry has an entire team that are already beginning to actually gather a legal team to go ahead and to go against Wendy's, the very restaurant company that delivered a tweet on social media, as you may recall, that said, "Can we send her back?" shortly after she landed. Already Perry is claiming behind the scenes that one Wendy's remark on social media and that mockery on social media set her back with a loss of millions of fans and hindered her Lifetime's tour sales, and is now very active and busy in creating the right legal team to take action against Wendy's. What's shocking here is that her own publicist is already advising her against this, as she was warned this will only backfire completely on her and will contribute to further backlash. Now, Wendy's is already reportedly prepared for Katy Perry to take further, of course, steps against them, and they are said to be fully prepared. Perry and her entire team are already demanding an apology, a full, open, explicit apology from Wendy's that they did not receive by Wendy's, and that is what set Katy Perry off with rage-like behavior behind closed doors in the midst of her Lifetime's tour, after witnessing a sudden decline on a massive scale, mind you, for ticket sales in certain US markets. In addition to all of that, Katy Perry is already preparing to make a public statement about her taking the necessary legal steps toward Wendy's after the spaceflight backlash with Blue Origin, and how she will make it ultimately clear, both to her fans and those that criticized her as well, that Wendy's themselves contributed to an impact on her career. Now, to make matters worse for Katy Perry's sake is that she is also preparing to incorporate an attack on brands and social media in a very artistic way into her concerts for the Lifetime's tour, with specific set designs and effects that will indirectly mock Wendy's, for example, though not by name, but by other ways to get around that obstacle. Katy is said to be advancing her legal action as soon as this June to go head-to-head with Wendy's, unless they make a full-fledged apology multiple times on social media. Perry has no plans to halt her legal team and her legal steps toward the company. This is all also happening in the middle of how both South Park Studios and Paramount are set to mock Katy Perry for their new season in July, and Perry is also said to be fully aware of that development and also wants to take legal steps and legal action on them in the process. Now, guys, let me just stop there for one moment. Now, the fact that you have studios out there, you have companies out there mocking Katy Perry either how they already mocked her or they are in the process of mocking her, it goes to show you how really, you know, ridiculous she acted, both in space and when she came back down on land. And how she really tried to recover from that backlash. She really tried to do damage control like nothing anyone would have expected Katy Perry to even do, even for Katy Perry's sake. This is interesting. The fact that she is also blaming Wendy's now, that this is why her ticket sales are underperforming. Well, let's check in on that. Now, look, mind you, let's be very real here. Her ticket sales in specific US markets, they were underperforming even before the spaceflight backlash. Yes, it did get worse after the backlash, that's a fact, but it was already beginning to actually tumble before she went up into space. Let's not even say space, the edge of space, alright? So again, I don't think Wendy's contributed to anything. If anything, I think that Wendy's was just doing this all in good fun. They were poking fun at the whole situation. I don't think that they genuinely were trying to tank Katy Perry's career or herself as an individual. I have no reason to believe that, but they were poking fun at her. It was all in good fun, and people were laughing about it. So I think that if she really wanted to be the bigger person, she could have just laughed along with it. She could have actually laughed at that and went along with it, and she didn't. She took a lot of, offense to that. She took it very personally. Seems like she has, no sense of humor, honestly, from Wendy's. But again, let's get into this further. Now, though there is no case, since this all falls under parody for South Park, for Paramount and South Park Studios, Katy is also planning to go public about their company and or public figures that she wants to blame for contributing to her concerts underperforming at the ticket sales. And this is all said to be just the beginning of Katy Perry taking legal steps, not just against Wendy's, but also other companies out there that mocked her. Now again, look, when you look at the choreography of her concerts for the Lifetimes tour, I don't know if you have checked it out, but go ahead and check it out if you have not. It is beyond cringe. The choreography is not only off, it seems off even for Katy Perry's norm, but it really is something that is just putting off her own fans. A lot of fans of her own are beginning to walk away. They don't want to purchase her tickets. They don't want to go to her Lifetimes tour. And a lot of people, by name, are comparing the Lifetimes tour to the Eras tour. And it really makes you question where she got the name from, right? But overall, look, I think that at the end of the day, this is only going to make matters worse if she really does triple down on this whole legal action against Wendy's, against, of course, other companies out there that mocked her, other figures out there that mocked her, multiple times. And she's blaming them all together for contributing to ticket sales underperforming for her concerts, for her Lifetimes tour, is ridiculous. Look, I think it's a combination of these 2 or 3 things, I should say. Really, when you look at it, she's really not all that popular as she once was. Number 2, her choreography is just so beyond cringe. Number 3, people, quite frankly, are just finding other performers to go to, and that's just how the cycle normally runs, right? You have different generations that actually enjoy different generations of performers. But overall, I would like to hear what you all have to say about this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.